ladies and gentlemen, to Munciana Courtside. Tonight, we come from the Ling Dome. The palatial estate of one Mike Lingenfelter. I'm ass-whipped tired, long weekend. Randy just came home from Canada. He's a little bit weary as well. So I figured we'd do the show, and then I would go straight to bed from here. So we make sure we take care of you folks. First and foremost, and you're always the most important thing in our life. So once again, Mike Lingenfelter, still non-shaven, soon to be ZZ Top wannabe, Randy Gardner.
All right, this week we're going to hit on Yorktown versus HSC early in the week. Seemed like it was a great game. Fourth game was well into the 30s. Yorktown had ended up taking down HSC in 4.
Losing. Yorktown did not lose.
They didn't.
In fact, I've gotten smacked in the mouth over that. Yorktown, I don't care if you're playing the United States national team. I'm going green for the rest of the season. Any predictions? I'm taking Yorktown. I failed twice this year out of about 20 picks now, and both of them were Yorktown games. I do appreciate the fact that no one's egged my house or toilet papered it. It's not personal. Yorktown is good. Yorktown is really good. Hamilton Southeastern is good. Yorktown is just playing off the charts right now, and like I said, I lost on that one. I lost on that one.
Another game we hit on last week was Avon versus Brownsburg. It went the distance, 15-9 in the 5th. Brownsburg ended up taking down Avon.
Avon, like I said, is better than what people think. But they always are. I don't know. They're young in certain spots, and you're always ready to count them out, but they're always right there. And they do some really nice things. Brownsburg is. We talked about them at the start of the year. I'm proud that we picked them out of the hat right off the bat. But Brownsburg is. I was talking to Megan Sloan and some folks today from Cathedral, and they said Brownsburg, they're just good. And obviously, that must have been a great match.
And from what it seemed like, score-wise, all of them were really close, and maybe just a little too much power. But it sounds like they got some pretty good outsides for Brownsburg.
Well, Brownsburg's a team I want to get out and see. That's the one team I really want to get a chance to see, because I want to get a feel for this thing as we move towards the end of the season. But Brownsburg, teams that have a tradition of winning tend to win. And that's what they're doing now. They're very good.
Lazy boy, get off the game of the week, get off your butt, was Center Grove Perry Meridian. Center Grove handled them and seemed to play pretty well from scores and everything else.
Center Grove is, I think Perry Meridian, as we talked about, a very athletic, very good team, not as polished. Center Grove is polished in the places you want to be polished. A couple of good ball handlers, great setter, great pin hitter, Smithers kid in the middle of the court. They're just good. They're good, and they're better in key positions. I would have been shocked if Perry Meridian pulled that off. Perry Meridian's still a good team. They're a team that's going to really be fun to watch around sectional time. They're a team you don't want to draw, but Center Grove's definitely a team you don't want to draw. They're tremendous.
No doubt. This week's Player of the Week, we've been talking about. Go ahead. If you want to go ahead and hit on her.
Alicia Webb out of Tecumseh High School. Fantastic. Randy has done his research yet again, and Randy's, I tell you what, man, he finds some gems out there. Alicia Webb, 40 sets, 171 kills. I mean,
just hitting under 600.
Hitting 548. And for those folks who don't understand, I talk about this all the time. Hitting averages, attacking percentages are a lot like batting averages in the major leagues. If you're hitting over 300, you're making a lot of money. A lot of money. A-Rod is hitting about 210 since the All-Star break, and he's making a lot of money. In fact, if I was making A-Rod money, you wouldn't be getting this from the palatial estate of Mike Lingenfelter. But 548 is outrageous. Those are phenomenal numbers. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to see much about Tecumseh or Miss Webb, but those numbers, congratulations. You keep it up. I mean, at this stage of the game, what are we, 1/3 of the way through the season? She's looking at around 600 kills for the year. That'd be a monster year for Miss Webb. The real key is the 548.
That's unbelievable.
That's an efficiency rating that is off the charts.
I think she was about 20, 22 airs on the season too. So I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's tremendous, and congratulations to Alicia Webb. Those are spectacular numbers. If you decide to go to the major leagues and need an agent, let me know. I'm on it.
Yep. Well, at games of the week, first one we're going to talk about this. The lazy boy get off your butt game of the week right here. I think it's going to be your best one. Alexandria 9-0 versus Munciana, which is 14-1 on the year.
I love when these type of teams go after each other. I love when these type of games happen.
I think last year this was one of the games we had as a
always
game of the week.
Always it was the Lori Elson war. It was Elson versus Miller, two really fine coaches and people. In a couple of weeks, we're going to talk a lot about the little schools. These are two smaller schools. Alexandria, though, has one of the best all-around ball handlers, and maybe one of the best all-around volleyball players in the state of Indiana. A lot of people don't know her.
Yeah.
Megan Miller. And you're talking about, who is this Megan Miller? Well, Megan Miller gets about 30 kills a night for Alexandria. She's about 5'5".
Yeah.
Jumps out of the gym, bangs away. But more importantly, takes care of the ball as well as anybody that's ever played in this part of the area. She's being recruited by Purdue, Kentucky, Nebraska, Ohio State. I mean, this kid's a real deal. But she also plays at a school that is tiny. Undefeated, 9-0. Last time I looked, they were the number 2 ranked team, I believe, in 2A. Munciana, Rachel Resch is really she's got to be proud of what she's doing.
Yeah.
14-1 this year has just really gone to the point where she has developed a great program. All they do is win. They're in the hunt, and they're good, and there's still an Elson behind. She lost Lori Elson to the collegiate ranks as a coach, but she maintained the daughter, and I think that's going to be a good old-fashioned battle. Munciana and Madison Grant that's always a fun one.
Yeah.
Because there's a little Michigan-Ohio State hatred there. But Alec and Munciana will be a great match. That is the lazy boy get off your butt game of the week, and by all means.
We have a couple more games. New Pal is 9-1 on the year. Only loss was to Zionsville. It sounds like Zionsville played really well that night when they played them. Versus Delta, 10-3. They've had moments where they looked really good, and then they've had a couple of slip ups. But it's the same thing we talked about. Westfield has some pretty good wins, and that was one of their losses. They've came in and had a pretty good year. They're starting to come around as a team. So, New Pal at Delta, and they're 9-1 and 10-3.
Well, that's a great matchup of two teams that are very similar.
Yeah.
It's two teams that I really believe, if they get everything going in the right direction, could be contenders. I just keep waiting for one of those two teams to really break through. Both teams have very gifted athletes. Both teams are well coached. Both teams have good history. But neither team is really just taking the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
So, I think they're both very, very good teams. That's a great matchup as well.
Yeah. And like I said, a little more of the south of Indiana. We have Providence, which is 17, and I think 2 on the year. They're off to a great start. They're playing Floyd Central. And that's usually a huge rival down there. Floyd Central's down a little bit this year, but should still be entertaining across the board, though.
Well, if Alexandria and Munciana is Ohio State and Michigan, Providence, Floyd Central is a little deeper south, so we're going to go Auburn, Alabama.
Okay.
A little bit of angst, a little bit of competitive nature between those two programs. Floyd Central, the traditional powerhouse. Providence, as of late, has really taken over that area. Terry Parika, Bart Powell. You could pick an all-star team out of those two teams for the last couple of years, from the kids from those two schools, and compete against any area in the state.
Yeah.
Two legendary programs. That should be a fun matchup.
Yeah. And another one I just saw, I haven't really got done. I don't really know a whole bunch about them just because, we don't get to see everybody. But I wanted to make sure we got a shout out for them. Is the Greensburg game. They're 12-2 on the year. playing Lawrenceburg, which is 12-0.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's the Casino Bowl. I think that there's a casino in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
And I think that those guys going 12-0, we should probably try to see what the sports book at this casino is giving us on the spread on that game. But the Battle of the Bergs, Greensburg and Lawrenceburg, I'd like to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on those two teams. I like the teams in that part of the state and in the Deep South because you just don't hear as much about them. But there's some great volleyball being played down there. But yeah.
Raymond James, who's flying high this week? I'm going to throw out a couple things. You just kind of give me some feedback. I said, which player is flying high at this point on your radar?
I think that the player that is flying high that's probably caught my attention more than any is Mackenzie Knuckles.
She's had a great year.
Mackenzie Knuckles is a very gifted young player, very solid, transferred into Yorktown this year as a freshman. I thought she'd have an impact. I didn't think she'd become a rock star. She really is. Anybody that's played him, talking to Jason Young at Hamilton Southeastern, telling me how good she was. Everybody I run into has asked me if I've seen her.
Yep.
She is very solid, but she is scoring at will. She's one of the top. I think she's in top 3 kills in the state right now. She's really
well percentage-wise.
And she's a freshman, folks. This kid is going to be the real deal.
Yep.
I think that this kid is Big Ten. This kid is wherever she wants to go.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of great players right now. I think Jackie Quaid is playing as good as anybody in the country. Just bombing balls. They told me she is really, really good. I look at Megan Sloan. I look at Kendall White. Smithers. You can name off a bundle of players. Mackenzie Knuckles, not only because she's having just an incredible year, but she caught me by surprise.
Yeah, no doubt. Next part I was going to go with, what team surprised you so far? Which team's kind of leading the pack, the flock right here? What are you going with?
I think I have 2. I think that surprise for me, Concordia. Even though Trish Miller told me.
Life after LeBron.
Yeah, life after LeBron. Told me that she thought they were going to be very, very good. Not that I didn't trust you, Trish, but Tiana Williams.
Yeah.
You talk about losing T, man, and she was jacked up, excited. Concordia, what are they? 13-1.
Yeah.
13-1. I mean, all they've done is win. I think that's remarkable. I think that they're one of the surprise teams, and the other is probably Yorktown.
Yep.
I thought Yorktown, I saw them in our camp. I know a lot of those guys. I thought that they would really, really struggle to create offense. I didn't think they'd be able to create enough offensive intensity to keep people off their backside. But I will tell you, everything you need to know about high school volleyball, go watch Yorktown play.
Yep.
They serve the heck out of it. I think that them and probably Cathedral are the top 2 service pressure teams in the state of Indiana.
Yep.
They pass the heck out of it. They are the best passing team in the state of Indiana. They defend the heck out of it. It's just tough to find a place on the floor, especially hard hit balls.
Yep.
They're a little more prone to getting beat on a softball, tips or rolls, than they are the hard hit ball. But I think that Yorktown, when you think about volleyball, first ball contacts, the balls where you're the first man to touch it. Serve, no one else touches it. Pass, first contact across the net, defend. Yorktown High School is as good as anybody in the state at those 3 things. And that's one of the, they've created offense with their defense.
They have.
They're my surprise.
They have. Kind of going back with who's kind of catching up with the flock here. Who's catching the guys? Early in the year they might have a little up and down moment. And where are they at?
Well, I think that, Avon.
Yeah.
Is still in that picture. You got to talk about Avon. I mean, they lost more than anybody.
Yeah.
On the outside of the court. I don't know if any team or any school lost more firepower than Avon.
Yep. Across the board.
Across the board. And for them to still be in the hunt, going 5 with Brownsburg, they're good.
Yeah.
And I think that they've lost 4 times. They probably lost as much as anybody in the state that's in their top 10.
Yeah.
But those guys, I would say, they're going to catch the rest of the pack because of coaching. I think that Carmel, as they age, will get better.
As they become sophomores.
They got to get used to Fishman. Their freshmen are closer to being a sophomore now. Their sophomores are closer to being juniors now. We're almost the halfway point of the season, so it starts to tilt. I think Carmel, as they get comfortable with each other, will start to figure it out. Kaysen and Seaman are too good to not win games. I think that team's going to get better. As odd as it is, when you say, I look at your wording, who's starting to catch up after a slow start?
Yeah.
Brownsburg.
Yeah.
Brownsburg started the season.
They were kind of on the radar. Yeah, they were.
They weren't on the radar. They started the season. They got beat.
Yep.
So they opened the season with a loss, much like Josh Collins' Pittsburgh Steelers. They opened the season with a loss, and all they've done is win since.
Yeah.
And they've really played pretty good volleyball.
Yeah.
So, I like Brownsburg in that thing. I think that to take your verbiage literally, they did have a slow start.
Yeah.
But all three of those teams are good. But Brownsburg, I'm really impressed with them.
All right, let's go ahead on our honorable mentions. GearMunciana.com, top 10.
Yeah.
We got a few of them. Some guys that are really starting to come along.
Well, Elkhart Memorial.
Still hanging around.
8-1, and at some point we've got to get them in here.
Yeah.
It's such a log jam right now when I look at this, but Elkhart Memorial, they deserve to be in there. Valpo, all they've done is win.
Yeah, undefeated.
12-0, one of the few undefeated teams left in the state. Northview, 13.
3A state final last year.
Yeah, Northview, 13-2, and they were really pretty athletic.
Yeah.
When you remember watching them last year,
Yep.
they're very athletic. And Lafayette Central Catholic.
Undefeated on the season as well.
Well, and they've always been a juggernaut in 1A.
Yeah.
They're big. They're usually big and physical, but they're as good a program as there is in a small school division. 10-0. I mean, you got to give them some love. I really like those guys. So all four of those teams are on the radar. Like I said, Elkhart Memorial's got to get in soon.
Yeah, and I think they will in the next couple of weeks when some other people start getting a little farther along.
Yeah. The top 10. I think that at the 10 spot, I keep Avon in there.
Yeah.
Even though they lost this week, but they lost to Brownsburg in 5.
Yeah.
They beat a solid. Yeah, they beat a couple of solid teams, but 11-4. Look who the 4 losses are.
Yeah. It's not your. And also it's the same we talked about. They were in that championship and almost took down Carroll, which took down Assumption.
Yeah, and they play a tough schedule. I'm surprised McQueen doesn't have Penn State on there somewhere. They play as good a schedule as anybody in the state, and for that, I'm keeping them up there. The other reason I'm keeping them up there is they're always in the hunt.
Yep.
In the end, so I'm going to keep them at 10.
Who you got at 9?
I'm going to put Columbus East at 9. The battling Penards of Columbus East. Beat Franklin. I think that's a revenge match. I believe I believe they lost to Franklin earlier. But Columbus East at 9-2. And remember we talked about them. They're a lot like Carmel. New coach, still a little bit young. They got a lot of good juniors. They're not seniors by any stretch, but they're closer to being seniors now than they were the first time we talked about them. I think Columbus East is going to get better. They're physically good enough to do the things now. Whether they can put all the mental stuff together, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And like you always talk about, they're coming out of the South too. They're going to be playing the hardest schedule up until the state finals. So they can compete with those guys with the athletes they do have.
Yeah,
Number 8,
Concordia. Trish Miller, the amphetamine kid, she's amped up, and they beat Norwell, they beat DeKalb, but Concordia goes through a stretch where they don't get tested, and that's always a concern for Coach Miller. But I tell you, in years gone by, they've always answered the bell. But 13-1, they were involved in a solid tournament in Yorktown. They've beaten some pretty good teams. I like Concordia, and I keep them at 8 in ours. I think that they were last week, and they probably deserve to be there this week.
Yep. And number 7?
Providence. I hate Providence being that low.
Yeah.
But I sat with a Providence alum up in Connecticut a couple of weeks ago watching my daughter play, and it is amazing how proud she is and how she plays at Stony Brook now. And she was talking about the system there and everything else, and it's neat to see schools of that type of tradition, and so a team with that kind of tradition and mojo to them deserves to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
Providence will move up. they're about done losing, and they've only lost twice. They're 14-2. They beat Louisville Holy Cross this week. Now I'm good with Providence at 7.
Number 6.
Well, I tell you what, Fort Wayne Carroll almost beat down the whole city, didn't they?
Yeah.
They took down Northrop, Belmont, Bishop.
I think they're the kings of Fort Wayne right now.
Yeah, is that Dwenger or Lures that they beat?
Bishop Dwenger.
Okay, yeah, Fort Wayne Carroll 16-1. They have unfinished business. A lot of people don't remember that Fort Wayne Carroll was in the hunt last year.
Yeah.
They had a shot. The thing that most people don't realize
I think they were at that semi-state, correct? Yeah. With Carmel and Elkhart Memorial and all those guys.
Yeah, it was a great semi-state. Jackie Quaid is an incredible player.
Yeah.
I think that the thing about Jackie Quaid that people don't realize is that she's as athletic as anybody you'll ever play against. She just physically is in a different world. She separates from the floor fast. She could be. She's a kid. If she gets hot, she could single-handedly beat you.
Yeah.
So you don't want to run into Carroll on a wrong night. I think that they've got a good supporting cast. We talked last week about they're a well-set team. They're stay at 6 for me. I like that team.
Yeah, and I was looking at the setter stats. I think she's over 11 a set now. So that's crazy.
That's
impressive.
efficient. No, it's efficient.
Next on the list,
Center Grove.
Yeah.
Center Grove at 5, and they had a setback to Hamilton Southeastern on Saturday.
Yeah.
But Center Grove, they take down North Central, Perry Meridian, Columbus North. They just tough loss.
Yeah.
Just a tough loss to a good team.
Yeah.
Center Grove still very athletic. I will continue to say probably one of the top 3 coach teams in the state of Indiana. They've got to really just got to get a little bit more handle on the ball control thing. If they take care of the ball, it will be set and it will be hit. Their Achilles heel still is their ball control, and really got to up really a little bit more defensive intensity. But I have them at 5.
Yep. Number 4.
Hayden Huber's in the gang at Hamilton Southeastern.
Lost a crazy one with Yorktown, but had a good win over Center Grove. So
I talked. Jason had texted and told me that he said that Yorktown was just spectacular. He said they didn't play as well as he would have liked.
Yeah.
But he thought that Yorktown just didn't make any mistakes. And we've been saying that all year long. They just don't. But Hamilton Southeastern, very gifted team, very well set. They've got a couple of really good ball handlers. They got a couple of kids that can take a good swing at on the net. When they're in system, they're pretty darn good. It's just, I think they've got to clean up some serving issues. I think they got to clean up a little bit of passing. They're making some mistakes at the wrong times. Mm-hmm. You can make mistakes; these can't be at the wrong times, and that's why Hamilton Southeastern sits at 4.
Yep. Top 3 now. Who you got 3?
Yorktown.
Highest they've been on the show.
Ever.
Yep.
Ever. But it's the best they've ever been.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody today.
I think they're at 1 set loss on the year now.
One set.
Yeah, just 1.
1 set. That's ridiculous. Coaches that tend to hold their kids to a tougher standard tend to get what they ask for. If you want excellence, you need to demand it daily. Steph Bloom does that as well as anybody. They're as clean a high school team as I've seen in the last 10 years. It's like I said earlier. I was really concerned that they wouldn't have enough firepower.
Yeah.
They're creating firepower by keeping balls in play and letting people either make mistakes or they're just playing a very cerebral game. It's like playing chess when you play these guys. They are countering every move. I think great coaching, and I'm a first ball contact guy. I live and die on passing and defense and serving, and these guys, they're the epitome of that. They're the poster children for first ball contacts. Congratulations, 3rd best team in our poll right now. But there's an awful lot of folks out there that would love to see Yorktown play Cathedral.
Oh yeah,
because it would be, oh my God.
Yeah,
it'd be
top.
It would be it would be one of the most prolific offensive teams in the history of the state.
Yeah.
Playing against right now, an historic defensive team. That would be fun to watch.
It would be.
People say defense wins. People say, I'm just saying. Remember, I told you I'm not picking against Yorktown for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Number 2.
Brownsburg. Brownsburg beats Noblesville, J County, Fort Wayne Bishop, Dwenger, Avon, and North Central.
Yeah.
When they play
One loss on the season.
Played their whole season in 1 week.
They played a ton.
Brownsburg, we got to talk to the AD. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of games in 1 week, man.
Yeah.
All right, 11-1 Brownsburg, and we will get out.
3 of them were this past weekend, and 2 on the
Okay, all right. Don't have to make excuses for Brownsburg. We'll get out and see you guys. I tell you, I've heard nothing but good things. I'm going by hearsay, but I'm also looking at the numbers they're posting. 11-1, 1 loss, a 5-set loss to open the season to a Cathedral team that's awfully good. Brownsburg, my number 2 team.
Yeah.
Coming this week.
And we're going to go number 1.
The thing that now the Yorktown guys have probably got to get on me about is making poor picks. I said earlier that those guys can't run the table. I will repeat, and I don't think it's important to win, to be undefeated. I mean, it's, I saw the Patriots do it a couple years ago and going to the Super Bowl with a lot of weight on their shoulders, and they collapsed. I saw University of Kentucky basketball go into it, and they collapsed. It isn't important to go undefeated. It is important to win the championship. And Cathedral right now, they beat down Chittard, they beat down Lawrence North. They're rolling.
They are.
And you know what? It's kind of neat talking to a lot of their kids and being around it. They're hungry. They're really, really hungry. Passion is key. I watch, we had a middle school kickoff tournament yesterday at Munciana, and I was watching these teams play with this incredible passion. You forget that the key to the game still is love. If you can get a group of kids to really just fall in love with the game, fall in love with your principles, fall in love with the players around them, anything can happen.
Yeah,
it can be dangerous. Cathedral is incredibly talented. If this team can continue to really fall in love with their surroundings, it could be they could run away.
Yeah,
they could flat out run away. Do you want to pick these games or?
I was gonna say let's just go with the Alexandria game, and then let's go with the New Pal Delta game.
All right.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Alexandria and Munciana. Last year I took Alexandria. I took Miller in the crew. I remember. I think you took Ellison in the crew.
I won.
You did.
Mm-hmm. That's what to say.
I don't really know a whole bunch about either of the teams, but I really like the Alexandria team this year just because of Miller. I'm going Miller again.
I go Yorktown. I go Yorktown, for God's sake. Yeah, I don't even care if Yorktown's on my sheet. I'm taking Yorktown. But no, I go Alexandria.
Yeah.
I really like what Rachel Resch has done at Munciana, but I tell you what, Megan Miller is worth getting off your butt and going and watching. Yep. She's dynamo, man. She's a great little ball player. I go Miller and the Tigers.
All right, New Pal and Delta. I think Denneman and the crew are going to be ready to roll. I don't think they played too much last week, so I think they're still kind of bitter from the loss, probably. Yeah. But it is at Delta, and Delta's pretty good. They got Chloe Stitt and those guys, so I'm going Delta. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one. But I tell you, I think the Delta's best volleyball is ahead of them.
Yeah.
Delta's
with Wood and Campbell.
I look at the results from their tournament this weekend. Delta's way up, way down. I mean, they're all over the place. I think that Zagunda and those guys have got to settle them down in the back row. The offensive guys have got to be a little more consistent. They're too good of a team. And once again, another good coach. Delta at some point is going to break out. I think the New Pal match is Delta's breakout game. Okay. I think Delta blows that up and runs through those guys and gets on a roll.
Yep.
I go Delta.
All right. That's all we got this week.
Well, welcome back from Canada. It's good that you didn't get engulfed in the Great White North. Now I'm going to turn in and go to bed. This will probably be one of the last episodes from the Ling Dome. Hope you enjoying my surroundings. We are sponsored with the Lazy Boy Game of the Week. I don't have a Lazy Boy if you guys could write in and gripe about that, I'd truly appreciate anything you can do to help my humble abode. I'd always like. But you guys take care until next week.
So